afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Strategic Commissioning Committee. And thank you for your forbearance with the technical challenges that the Council has been suffering today. Those of you who were at the Planning Committee meeting this morning will be old hands at dealing with it. I'll pass over to Ms Dunsmuir for the housekeeping.
Thank you, Convener. So Aberdeen City Council has a I haven't turned my camera on, apologies, I will do that. Aberdeen City Council has a no smoking policy and you're requested to refrain from smoking at all times whilst in the building. In the event of a fire or other emergency requiring evacuation, we hear a continuous single tone klaxon and we should proceed immediately out of the building via the designated exit route, which is out via the door through which we entered, back to the main staircase and down to the ground floor. On exiting the building, we will proceed to the Arts Centre in Queen Street, where we'll wait until clearance is given to return to the building. Closest toilets are located in the corridor behind the lifts off the main stairwell. It would be appreciated if mobile phones could either be switched off or put on silent mode. And for anyone with hearing difficulties, there's a hearing loop system in the room linked to the sound system if you wish to put your hearing aids to T position. So this is a hybrid meeting, slightly different today, with some people in the chamber and others participating remotely. Today's meeting is being recorded rather than webcast. Can I ask that all attendees switch off their camera when not speaking, but that both camera and microphone are switched on when you're invited to speak so that this is picked up on the recording. If those at home do wish to speak, could I ask that they please use the raise hand function or indicate in the meeting chat. If you're having any issues with either of these, please activate your camera and signal that you wish to speak. For those in the chamber, can I ask that you use your microphone when speaking and speak directly into it so that you're clear for those at home, and also turn on your cameras. And I'll now just take a quick roll call and would ask that members confirm their attendance when their name is called so that this is clear in the recording of the meeting and can also be recorded for the minute. Convener?
Present.
Vice Convener?
Present.
Councillor Ali? Councillor Allard?
Present.
Councillor Bonsell?
Present.
Councillor Brooks?
Present.
Councillor Copeland?
Present.
Councillor Fairfall?
Present.
Councillor Farker?
Present.
Councillor Kuzner?
Present.
Councillor McClellan?
Present.
Councillor Van Sweden?
Present.
And Councillor Watson.
Present.
Thank you, Convener.
Thank you, and again, welcome to this first meeting of the Strategic Commissioning Committee since the Council elections. First item on the agenda is the notification of urgent business. There is none. The determination of exempt business at 2.1. Can we agree that items 12.1, the Christmas Village Appendix, and 12.2, the Work Plans and Business Cases Appendices, are taken in private? Can I also let you know that we've asked for a presentation on the waste management business case to be made by officers, and that will take place in private session as well, if you're agreeable to that. Thank you. Moving on then to item 3.1, declarations of interest and transparency statements. Do we have any? I see no hands online or in the room. So, okay, moving on. 4.1, deputations. There are no deputation requests. 5.1, minute of the previous meeting of 25th February for approval. And I will be guided, but I think it does be people who are actually at that meeting. Hands up if you were at the meeting.
Sorry, I'll move on a second.
Do we agree it was an accurate minute?
Agree.
Agreed. Thank you, Councillor Allard. Right, moving on to the committee planner, which is pages 9 and 10. Are there any questions? It is for noting, but if there are questions relevant to the planner, we will take them. If I'm not hearing any, so we'll move on to 7.1. There are no notices of motion. 8.1, there are no referrals from the council or elsewhere. That takes us to 9.1, which is the commercial and procurement services performance report. There is a covering report, and then there's Appendix A, which has some data, statistics in it. Any questions on the covering report? On the Appendix A, I don't say it's table, it's not really a table, but the colourful bit. Any questions on page 17, 18, 19? Can we agree the recommendations? Okay, moving on to 9.2, the annual procurement performance report. again, we've got a covering report and then a slightly longer set of pages with some data and information. Are there any questions on the covering report? Okay, and then take you to page 20. Oh, I do beg your pardon, Councillor Allard. And then Councillor Ali, thank you.
Thank you, Convener. It's 9.2. We've got a question on Appendix A, Aberdeen City Annual Procurement Report 2021-2022. A couple of questions on page 42 and a couple of questions on page 50, which are
We're not at page 42 and page 50 yet.
Oh, sorry, 9.2?
Yeah, but we're not at those pages. I'm going to go through the document page by page, as I said. So I'm just asking just now, are there any questions on the covering report? No. Is Councillor Ali, is your question on the covering report or on the? Okay, fine. If there are no questions on the covering report, then we'll move on to the pages. So starting at page, well, presumably no questions on the front page, or page 28. So page 29, page 30, 31, 32, 31. Councillor Ali. Mike, please.
Thank you. Sorry, new to it all.
Don't worry.
I just wanted to try and understand on page 31, particularly the commissioning, procurement and contracts related to social care. Does that include recruitment as well?
Mr. Innes?
Just through yourself, Convener, it doesn't include staff costs, if that was a question.
Okay. That wasn't the question, but that does answer my question generally. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Page 32, page 33, page 34, page 35, 36, 37, 38, 39.
Question.
38? Close. Councillor.
Just on the revenue efficiencies of 1.6 million, just how was this achieved and are there any other opportunities for savings?
Mr. Innes.
Thank you, Convener. The 1.6 is a breakdown of various contracts where we've either achieved efficiencies through demand management or doing something different with that contract, whether that's through commercial negotiation or otherwise. But it's quite a plethora of contracts that make up that 1.6 million.
You have a follow-up, or are you content with that?
I'm content, Convener.
Councillor Watson.
It's on page 38. What is a local supplier and where is that defined, please?
Mr. Innes.
A local supplier is a supplier to Aberdeen City Council within the boundary.
Sorry, when you say they're within the boundary, does that mean the company headquarters is within the boundary? Is that the majority of their business is within the boundary? Could you just give a bit more information, please?
Where their business base is, if they're based in Aberdeen City.
Thank you. Page 39, 40, 41, and Councillor Allard, page 42.
Thank you very much, Convener. I was sorry, I didn't think you were going to go through all these numbers one after another one. So first of all, it's on 42. I've got a couple of questions, and thank you, Mr. Innes, to have answered some of them already. But I just want to put the point, Convener, which is the same point that we had at our last meeting, and it's reflected in the minutes, is regarding the use of the terms real living wage or living wage. And you can see that on page 42, the social care team to encourage providers to pay care staff at least the living wage, which has been positively received and implemented by providers, etc., etc. Can we have a confirmation that we are encouraging providers to pay care staff the real living wage and not just the living wage, as the report says?
Mr. Innes.
As Convener, yeah, I can confirm. We encourage them to pay the real living wage.
Yeah, I'll be content, Convener, that to make sure that it's corrected and that all our documents from now on will have that. On the second question,
just before you move on, Councillor Allard, on that page 42, the graphic refers to RLW, which I presume is real living wage. So the data is for real living wage.
Yes, Convener, that's
Thank you.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Allard.
Yes, I need note that as well. And but there's another point which makes another point that officers will know very well because I spoke at length about it, is that not only we have that real living wage, but we have on page 41 and on foot of page 42, which brings to confusion, is we have now introduced an acronym for real living wage, RLW. Officers will know my dislike of acronyms, and not only for new members, but for all of us. And if we could kill off all acronyms, I will be very, it would be very welcome, convener. Not only this, introducing new ones, I think should not be something that council should have.
Councillor Allard, you make an excellent point. And for those of you who've read the council policy statement agreed last month, you'll note that that included a commitment to use plain English, and acronyms almost never are plain English. Councillor Allard.
Yeah, I just to have confirmation from officers that from now on, we won't use acronyms, even if they are somewhere at the start explained, because this makes it very, very difficult to come back, particularly new acronyms, but I'm sure nobody knew what RWL will mean.
You make a good point, Councillor Allard. Mr. Innes.
Convener, yeah, I'll make sure there's no acronyms next time around. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Councillor Ali.
Yeah, sorry, I just picking up on something Councillor Allard said there. When we say that the social care team to encourage providers, encourage seems a little loose here, or at least what does that mean?
Mr. Innes.
Thanks, convener. Unfortunately, we can't actually legally mandate it. We can just encourage it.
It's a point we've wrestled with
so,
before.
So if just thinking about how we award contracts, do we weight things more if someone has a stronger commitment to it or is already paying people a real living wage compared to other contracts? We
encourage it, but we can't actually put it within the evaluation criteria that will score higher, because we can't mandate it. But we certainly subtly, enforce that it is something that we would like to see from the providers themselves, from their own PR business perspective. There is quite a few levers in there to encourage it, but like I say, unfortunately, we can't just say you must. The law doesn't allow us to do that.
Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Watson.
Just in terms of the assurance on that, can I ask what assurance is given and how the monitoring takes place without going into too much detail? Is it effectively from the contract winner reporting back to the council periodically, or is there any further digging done into that?
Thanks, convener. We'll pick that up as part of the contract management with the provider. Yeah.
Page 43, 44, 45, 45. Councillor Ali.
Thank you, Chair. I'll actually even turn my camera on this time. Just on the second bullet point there, it says, I didn't understand something, perhaps the officers will be kind enough to explain it. Market engagement activity to insist in the development of a position statement, etc. I don't quite understand market engagement with developing a position statement. Market engagement seems something we do to understand what is out there commercially, while a position statement is more something that we would decide as how we feel about it.
Mr. Innes.
The market statements generate from the upfront sort of engagement we'll have before we go to market, and just how we coordinate that. The position statement for that one in particular, I would have to get an exact definition from the social care team. I can gladly come back to the committee on that one.
Could you get that and circulate that to all the members of the committee?
Yeah, I can.
Is that satisfactory?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair.
I'll look to do that today, councillor.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Thank you. Page 46, page 47, page 48, page 49, 50, 50. Councillor Allard, then Councillor Ali.
Yes, Commissioner, you wouldn't be surprised, but it's about the real living wage again. And let me say to Councillor Ali and Councillor Watson, that it's refreshing to see that people coming with the same ideas that we came before in the terms before. And unfortunately, employment is reserved matter. So we would love to have the officers, I'm sure we love to have the legal right to impose this kind of restrictions on a real living wage.
And your question is?
For our commissioning. We are agreed. I see that there is a logo in page 50 again, the logo maybe you talked about, and there is again a confusion with the living wage. I wanted to know who is issuing that logo, and if there is a possibility maybe either to amend that logo, and I know you've put on the bracket next to it that is about the real living wage. How can we amend that logo, maybe asking the people who issue that logo to have logo change, just to avoid confusion again.
Mr. Innes.
Okay, thanks, convener. That logo comes from the Living Wage Foundation. So I don't know how easy it would be to kind of bespoke it to ourselves, but I can certainly look into that. But it is a, let's say, a recognised logo that everybody uses.
Yeah, I think
A standard logo.
I think Councillor Allard makes a good point about clarity in our messaging around this. Councillor Ali.
Thank you, Chair. Just in response to Councillor Allard, given the difference in our political philosophies, I wouldn't get used to us agreeing all the time. But nevertheless, I just wanted to thank the officers for coming up with 2,271 community benefits. It's something that certainly I personally feel very passionate about, that we should try and continue to achieve. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Councillor Ali. Just on that point about the real living wage, from memory, that is something which, and certainly in the previous council, the whole council supported the real living wage, and I think across parties, we wished to be able to, if I can use the word, impose it on suppliers, but legally we couldn't. So across the whole council, Ali, we were as one on that. Obviously, it's for members of this council to decide how they take that forward. Okay, page 51. Oh, beg your pardon, Councillor Watson.
Thank you, convener. I'd just like to support what my my colleague Councillor Ali just said about how important the community benefits are and how we can support the community in Aberdeen through commissioning and procurement. On page 50, it talks about requirements related to fair work practices. Obviously, one of those is the real living wage. Can I just ask what other requirements relating to fair work practices have been included?
Mr. Innes.
Thank you, Councillor Watson. There are a whole range of items that are included within the criteria for fair work practices, non-use of 0-hour contracts, whether employers offer free childcare places or they have childcare arrangements. There are a whole range of things that employers generally could offer or state that they have in place within the context of the question that's included within tenders.
Thanks, Ms. Mackenzie. Councillor Watson, okay. Right, page 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 50. Councillor Watson, if you're in the room, it's handy if you actually stick up your hand rather than using the Teams hand option.
That was left on from last time.
So it wasn't a real hand, it was a legacy hand. Okay, what page was I at? No. Thank you. 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64 and 65. Councillor Kuzner.
Just at the bottom of 65 on the Union Street housing, it would just be good to know what that relates to, what it involves.
Mr. Innes?
Thanks, convener. I'm just wondering if Mr. Booth's present. He'd maybe be able to give you a more detailed response than I
Mr.
could.
Booth, are you with us?
Sorry.
It would be, it's in his absence, and it's regrettable that there's not somebody able to answer that question.
Yeah.
Could we perhaps see if we can get him or one of his team to join us before the end of the meeting, and we can come back to that question? Would that be acceptable? Okay, well, with that proviso, can we agree the recommendations? Thank you. Takes us on to 9.3, which is the Commercial and Procurement Cluster Risk Register and Assurance Map. Again, I'll do the same thing. Any questions on the covering report? Okay. That take us then to Appendix A, which is on page 73. So again, page by page, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80. Can we agree the recommendations? Okay, that takes us on to general business and item 10.1, the Christmas Village feedback report. Sorry, iPad's going to sleep. Does Mr. O'Neill want to introduce this, or will we just go straight to questions?
Apologies, convener. Mr. O'Neill's not here, I think, at the moment. I'm Matthew Williams. I'll attempt to answer in his stead, though.
Okay, so are there any questions then on this report? Councillor Ali.
Sorry, Chair, are you going to go by page or just want us to go into it?
Let's
on page
are there any other questions apart from Councillor Ali? Okay, well, I think in the basis there's just two hands. We'll just jump to your page.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Sorry, I'm just zooming in at the same time. I'd like to thank the officers and welcome the bullet points, particularly in the environmental implications.
Which page are you on?
Page 83.
Thank you.
Particularly on the environmental implications, and particularly that we're going to these efforts to ensure that we're doing the best we can. I note the fourth bullet point on section 6 on page 83 about giving away perfectly edible and safe food to local homeless charity that's within date. I think that's a very good use of the food, and also oil and food waste from catering units being recycled. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And Councillor Kuzner.
Just one question, convener. I think in the report, both from the visitors and the businesses, there's a feeling that it could be a bigger event and draw more people in with a bigger scale. And I just wondered whether there's any consideration to maybe seeing if other events could be in Union Terrace Gardens when it's open, just for example. Mr. Williams.
I think we're willing to consider future options as instructed.
This is obviously a feedback report rather than decisions about the future, but the point you make is a good one, Councillor Kuzner. Okay, do you want to go through the detailed the external report page by page, or are you content with that? I'm not seeing anybody jumping up and down, so we'll just, can we agree the recommendations on 10.1? Okay, right, work plans and business cases. For those of you new to the committee, which is most of us, just remind you that there are also exempt appendices. So if you want to ask questions on things in the exempt appendices, we do that once we go into private session. So moving to page 117, once I find it. Okay, 118. Do you want to go through the business cases and work plans page by page? Well, let's in fact do that, because so at page 123, I'll just move through them. 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 31, 32, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, 41, and 42, and 43, and 44, and 45, and 46, and 47, and 48. And I feel like I'm waiting for somebody to shout house. So, can we, again, subject to any questions and points raised in Constance, can we agree the recommendations? Okay, right. We're now moving into private. So I can